Assalamualaikum. Yeah, so I actually started as the coordinator, that's what we decided my title is, in September. And the paper, actually, I've only been reading it since February of 2012, and that was because Zainab Baka, who is the editor-in-chief of the paper, who lives in Nairobi, Kenya, that's to tell you a bit about how this paper is put together. I think a lot of people have the impression that we have an office and everything's very organized. It's like, actually no, there's people in other countries and some people here, people volunteering. So the editor-in-chief actually, Zainab, lives in Nairobi, Kenya, and she had contacted me and wanted me to write an article about Black History Month. And I was for Muslim Link, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna write what I want to talk about, which is the issue of racism in the Muslim community against Black people. And I wrote a pretty controversial article, and she actually published it. And I remember being so surprised because I didn't expect such a controversial subject to be accepted in a community newspaper. Because my impression had been that it was relatively kind of a tame paper that wasn't really to deal with controversial social issues. But after that, when I started reading the paper and looking at past issues, I realized it actually has tackled many serious social issues within our community. And now that I work with it, I actually find that sometimes those are the most popular articles on the website, is the issues that are dealing with issues of racism, issues of domestic violence, issues of what's happening with youth in our prisons. These are sometimes what people really want to read about. And Islamic finance, for some reason. People are really interested in Islamic finance. So what I found the challenges are with many activities we do in the Muslim community is sustainability. People have full-time jobs, they have families, and in many ways, the person who founded this, Ali Bukhari, who's over there, who could stand up, that guy. Like many people, this is actually a paper produced mainly by young people, mainly by people under the age of 35. But what happens to people that age? They get jobs and they have families, and it becomes much harder to sustain. And I think even sometimes when we talk about how the youth are not involved, youth are very engaged with the community, but the reality is that they're getting jobs and they're having families, and that's sometimes why they're not able to come out to events or not able to be the presidents of associations. It's not because they're not interested. And in many ways, this is a very youth or younger generation driven paper, definitely a second generation driven paper for the community. My hope is that now the paper has a bit more capacity, it can start having more events like this where we actually go to the readership and say, what do you want from this paper? What do you need from this paper? What issues do you want tackled? What kind of forum do you want this paper to be? Do you want it to be a forum where we can have debate about issues, like healthy debate? Because the reality is that we have very diversity of opinion. Can this be a forum where we actually explore the diversity of our community? Because our community is so religiously diverse, ethnoculturally diverse, socioeconomically diverse. People have come in so many different generations, and the reality is that we need a forum where we can learn to understand each other and listen to each other. And I really see the paper as being that and having the potential to be that even more. I'm really hoping to start some small projects, see more events. One of the small projects, inshallah, will be starting in April, May, is the Muslim history of Ottawa. And that will be a series of interviews, both through video and written, of some of the earliest settlers, Muslim community members, people coming from the 40s and 50s. And as Auntie Shano, who's here, one of the people interviewed, has said, you better start talking to us now because we won't be here much longer. And so, and she's right. The reality is that our history is fading. And if we don't find out now about the collaborations between Muslims and Christians that were made at that time, the collaborations across different religious sects that were made at that time, because let's face it, in the 50s, you were Muslim is Muslim. It didn't matter if you were Ismaili or 12 or Shia or Sunni, who cared? You were all Muslim. And ethnoculturally, how people came across. We need to have that wisdom to carry us forward because our community is becoming more and more diverse, and unfortunately that means the gaps are growing further. And hopefully Muslim Link can be linking believers across those divides, and that's inshallah what I hope to see for the next 10 years of the paper. Thank you very much. And that's only possible for the readers and people reading it, people advertising in it, and people giving their feedback. So please, read the paper, visit the website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and soon we'll have a YouTube page, so that'll be great too. Thank you very much.